Hey y'all. Welcome, welcome. Hi. We're gonna give it another minute or two to make sure, most everybody's with us. You know, I had the same frame of mind. I was like, when I saw it and I read the blurb, I was like, it sounds interesting, but I don't know. But I'm glad y'all picked it because I really did enjoy it. It was to me it was very lighthearted, and I think that's because Ezekiel was very hot. He knew all the right words to say, even despite being cursed. The dude, yeah, he was something else. Yeah, it was a little slow, and it kind of took a while to kind of understand. Y'all, I've told y'all before. When I read, it's images. I was picturing Ophelia as Helena Bonham Carter's Queen of Hearts. Was that just me? That's just kind of the way I pictured her, and I could not change it through the whole book. It just wouldn't. It wouldn't go away. But yeah, it was almost like it was, despite them being in the middle of a war, it was a fun, lighthearted, warm story to read. That Yeah, that would have worked too. See, I just had a Ursula. Are we talking about Ursula? But and once again, I no mental image lock on what Alana might would look like, or even what Ezekiel might look like. I mean, throughout the book, this is pretty much what he looked like. Poor fella didn't have a head. I don't know why I couldn't get anybody in my head for him. I will say, Regal, I don't know how to say the man's name. He looked to me in my head, and I looked the character's name up the other day. Lord of the Rings, He was the, oh my God, y'all, what did they call him? He was like the leader of the March Guards or whatever they were. I feel like I just lost so many nerd points. I can't remember the character's name, and I just looked it up. I didn't read any of the other books yet. Someone commented on one of my posts saying that they had read all of them and really liked them. Um, I'm kind of debating on that because the way the epilogue was done, and it it lets you know that everything ended great, and I was just like, well, okay, thanks for that. I don't know. Sometimes that doesn't bother me, but sometimes there are stories where I feel like you can give away too much information, especially if it's a series. You can give away too much information, and there was a part of me wishing I didn't know that everybody had gotten their mate. I would have rather they kept it focused on Ezekiel and Alana instead of including everybody. But it's just me. It's just me. So the brother. Okay, so we already know all four princes are cursed. She curses them in different ways. Although that would be one thing to read the rest of the series for, to see what the rest of them, how their curses were affected. Obviously, what's the wolf dude's name? Lycidas. I wrote it down. Y'all know I am no good with pronouncing these names. Lycidas. I don't know. The dude. The wolf dude. You already know that his curse has something to do with her forcing his bloodlust. That's what it was. His curse is to feed her bloodlust. Got it. So then that leaves Valak and Rhaegal. What are their curses? So yeah, and to think that, and I mean, their father should have known better. They should have known she was gonna do something funky like that. I can't believe they fell for that. And at first, like in the prologue, is basically where she's actually putting the curses on them. And of course, in this time, we don't know a whole lot about what's happening, but I was curious. Okay, if she's the Blood Queen, what is she the queen of? And then as you read the story, you find out she wants to be the queen of absolutely everything. She sounds like a real happy camper too. So then, we go into chapter 1, which is, where Alana's story starts. And, we find out that she's had a huge curse on Ezekiel for, how did she say, like 100 years? It's a long time to have a crush. But the line where she's talking about, choosing her death. And she says, if I could choose my death, it would be with that man between my legs and me screaming his name. Y'all, I busted out laughing. I was like, hey, what a way to go. Yeah, yeah. He didn't seem real upset with his father for that. I think the only one of the fathers that they mentioned that it really honestly affected was, and here I have to say this man's name again, Lycidas, whatever his name is. Y'all know who I'm talking about. His father, how he was just, sitting on the throne, but that's all he was doing. Yeah, I think she kind of. I wish they'd given us a little bit more about that scene, exactly what they agreed to, because like I said, she didn't hold to it, or she manipulated the situation to get what she wanted. Because it didn't bring about any kind of peace. There was no treaty involved because she didn't stop. And yeah. And yeah. But yeah, I laughed about her choice of death. That was funny to me. So, and then the moment where they're doing the each of the princes is wanting to form like these special units, and everybody's being tested, and Alana is fighting with a wolf. But and then she has that light explode from her. She has no idea what's going on. So, and I think at this point we are we kind of know, yes, she's half vampire and half human, and you already know there's something more to her than just that. And then this happens. And I can't remember if at this point if they've already mentioned about how Ophelia has hunted down and killed practically every witch possible, and only a few have escaped. But so my thinking was was this the first sign of more than just a human mother making her different, or does she have some kind of latent genes, or was it being close to Ezekiel that kind of set that off, or his interest in her that set it off? So that was just a thought, like at the very beginning. And then, the more you read, of course, things start making sense, because then you find out about, how did they word it? The royal bloodline of the witches. And I think it was supposed to be like, was it 4 royal bloodlines? I want to say it was 4. I can't remember. But, and that's when your wheels start turning, or that's when mine started turning. Slowly, they were creaking a little bit, but things started like trying to connect. And obviously, we don't really know the full history of, oh Lord, Agatha and, I forgot her mother's name. Y'all know I'm not good with names. We are all over the place. We are all over the place. I am all over the place. I was just talking about the royal bloodline of the witches, and that once we learn that, that gives us a little more clue or hint as to Alana's true nature, because obviously she's not just human or half human and half vampire. Yes, she's half vampire, but her human side is a little more than just that. Um, so there were basically, well, obviously, Ophelia is a witch. She has killed the majority of the witches in existence in purgatory, and there was a royal, four royal bloodlines. Here, Mama J, we're talking about this book, Curse of Seduction. So, train of thought, come back to me. So there were four bloodlines, and that's also another thing that's got me curious about the other books. Were the other did the other bloodlines come into play? Because we know by the end of the book, at least two of the prince's mates are from the same bloodline. And how long did it take y'all to figure that out about Rhaegal and Agatha? Was it pretty obvious for y'all from the get? Because I was like, that right there. She's a hoot. What was that first thing? Fuck a duck. I love that. I say that quite often. I was like, she is my people. And somebody else that I loved was Magnus. Love Magnus. Um, so I'm holding this quote right here, and I'm trying to keep up with y'all too, because y'all know me. I'm a squirrel. I'm all over the place. So the four princes are discussing. I think they're back in the cave where the curses were originally placed on them, and they're talking about things. And Rhaegal says, "Y'all, I got this little hand scooting across. I don't want to do that. Stop doing that." Um, Rhaegal says, "You cannot leash a wild animal and think your will alone makes it tame." Now, that's just part of the little comment that he said, but that was my favorite line of what he said. And it's kind of like foreshadowing, I guess you would call it. What, the all over the place kind of thing? Or the fuck a duck thing? All right, so this is where, chapter 3, this is where I made the call about who Alana's mother really is, or what she really is, because, there's never any denial about who her mother is, just what she is. So, my note says, Mama's a lost witch. There, I said it, calling it right now. And then I had to hold my breath through the rest of the book, because I was like, Lord, please, Jesus, don't let me be wrong. It is, yeah, both. Definitely both. I am a living example. So it appears that any mealtime is pretty intense, you know, because not everybody eats the same way. So yeah, mealtime was always interesting. And I liked Addison. I like Addison and Gabriel. I like them too. And I don't know why those two thought that Ezekiel didn't know they mated. Of course he knew. And it's kind of like, early on in the book as well, like that far in, it's when she realizes that her mother and aunt lied to her about her being a witch. That Where was it? They told me I was half human. For years, I was less than nothing until vampire numbers dwindled drastically and they conscripted every soul available as soldiers. So it's almost like right now, she starts having the flashbacks of spending time with Agatha, you know, baking and doing things with crystals. You make a good point. Yeah, I think that, but I think she may have been more focused on why she was having so much trouble being able to feed from the vein versus trying to find out anything else that might be going on. And I think that's simply because she couldn't feed from any vein other than her mates. That's, to me, that's all that was. That I kind of felt like, which I think Ezekiel's father was the only one that was really upset about that. And I'm also kind of like, you know, dude, sit down. You done fucked up one time. Just sit down somewhere. So, and I was glad that Ezekiel was kind of, covered for Addison and Gabriel, saying that, he blessed their union. So, even though it took them forever to tell everybody, and I think they were a little bit scared that there was going to be more fallout from it. And I wasn't surprised one bit that Regal, y'all, these names, that Ray didn't have more trouble or have more to say. He didn't really seem too hurt or offended about it. He really did. I think after they were cursed, I, for whatever reason, I think all the fathers just really became more like figure pieces. Yeah. As they should be. Yes, some things, yes. So let's discuss, and I'm probably not going to say his name right either. We can just call him the douchebag. But let's talk about Remiel. Remiel. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Let's discuss him. Let's discuss him. Oh, and I like the other brother too, and I can't remember his name right now. But that little peckerhead. Oh my God. I made a note here somewhere about, because his constant trying to get at Alana. Oh. You know, that's what I've heard. I've never been to Texas, but, you know, I hear it's quite nice. Oh, so there's my Helena Bonham Carter note. I'm trying to find that note, y'all, because it was like, once he discovered, oh, here's the first note. Once again, how I pictured him is what this note is about. So, the note says, Remiel seems like a spoiled, petulant child. I realize he's supposed to be gorgeous, but in my mind, he looks like the Liberace dude from The Fifth Element or the dude from Green Mile. And by the dude from Green Mile, I'm talking about the asshat. And there were times in my mind they converged to look like, you know, they looked like one person. But it was that personality, and just, oh, that's the vibe he gave off to me. Just a total asshat. But then, for every trick he tried to pull to get Alana, Ezekiel had, you know, a way to shut him down. You know, that would work too. Kevin Spacey sure would work. Sure would. Ugh. Okay. Whew. Get that out. Get it out. So, I have a thing sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, where, especially when it's dealing with books that concern fated mates, I am always, and I may have mentioned this to y'all before, but I'm always kind of boggled a little bit that it takes them so long to catch on. I'm like, but I also realize, you know, like in this book, you know, they're cursed, and I think he realizes it first. I think Ezekiel realizes it first. But I don't think he realizes what that really means, because I don't think they know that that's how they're going to break their curse. But yeah, I'm like, how do you not know? How do you not know? Boggles my mind sometimes. There was something else I wrote way back here. Eh. That is true because I think the point I was trying to get at, but never really got there, was that, like Terry said, they didn't think the curses could be broken. So obviously they had no idea that even though Ezekiel realized that Alana was his mate, he had no clue that she was going to be able to break that curse for him. And there comes a third reason to read all the other books. Are the other three going to realize that whenever they discover their mates? Are they going to realize, okay, it worked for Ezekiel, maybe it'll work for me? There's that same note. I was fixing to be like, Lord, did I write that down twice? Was I that bothered? All right, so I'm trying to flip. So I was tickled silly also by the fact that, they were able to save so many of the wyverns. I thought that was a nice little touch to the story. Very nice little touch to the story. There's another note about old Remiel. It's where I was like, yeah, he's going to be a problem. Oh, oh, y'all, the scene where Ezekiel took Alana into the what was the room? We're gonna call it a den. I mean, let's call it what it was. It took her to the orgy. That's what it was. That that was hot. I'm just gonna say it. Then I got a note here about Ophelia. The bitches cry, cry. So, oh my lord, I can't. The other brother, Oh, Lord, I wish I could remember his name. The Feast. Yes, The Feast. And boy, was it. Oh, my. Oh, and my gosh, when Ezekiel beat the living daylights out of Remiel, he should have just gone ahead and just, that little boy right there, just been done with it. And here's where I made another note. Because Remiel is once again, this is after Ezekiel whooped his ass. Sometimes I get tickled at my own notes, y'all. Um, I swear for God, if this fool tries something else, me and Zeke may be fighting over who gets to end him. Because I was so done with him at this point. Details in the punishment. I have squirreled ahead too far. What are we talking about? Are we talking about the ass whooping? Or are we talking about something else? I don't want to jump too far ahead now that I have asked you a question. I think we found out pretty quickly it had not. If anything, it just drove him further. And I would like to know, because I figured out, and I wish I could find that note, because I made a note before it was ever even hinted later on in the book that Remiel might be actually helping Ophelia. And then I just remembered the fact that Ophelia was basically like raping this man in his sleep. Yeah, like I said, I love Magnus. And all because she, Ophelia even says that she believed that Ezekiel was the only one strong enough to stand by her side and give her heirs. And I mean, obviously that was her reasoning for going after him as hard as she did from the very beginning. But I think over time, the more he resisted her, the more obsessed she became. And I'm not sure at which point she started invading his dreams. That bitch is crazy. Trying to find that note I was just thinking about. Probably not. I'll find it whenever I'm looking for something else. Then there was where Alana, I guess after after reading so many of those books, I I kind of think maybe I think what am I trying to say, y'all? I think Rhaegal, if that, I think he may have insinuated a couple of times that that was Ophia's reasoning, that she had always focused more on Ezekiel than any of the rest of them. But yeah, I don't think anybody else really realized it. Because, like I said, I think Rhaegal was the only one that actually said those words, even if Valak and Lycidas, God, I can't say his name. Even if the other two knew it, but I think they all knew, because even though she could use the, whatever the curses were against the other three, it was always Ezekiel that she took the most from. I think is what I'm saying. Remiel, I guess, he was very jealous. And he was obviously very spoiled. And I'm not 100% sure if that was intentional or by the time that he should have been helping in the war, he was already so far, gone that they were just like, screw it, stay home, you'll just be in the way. But I think that, Alana was reading all those books that Ezekiel had, and she's putting two and two together, and she's figuring things out, and she's who is she talking? She's talking with Addison. And she's basically trying to, she's telling her, over time, curses were used by evil witches to try and get their own way, but the basis behind them remains the same. And she's basically, she needs to figure out what that one single element is within each curse to break it. So, I can't remember. I don't remember if it ever hinted at what she was taking from Valak or Rhaegal. I'm gonna have this figured out in a little bit, y'all. But I don't remember that. I mean, obviously, we know what she was getting from Ezekiel, and that she was using Lycidas for the bloodlust. So I don't know. Now I'm starting to, I'm finding more and more reasons to go ahead and read the books, even though I feel like I already know the end game. Anyway, not the details of getting to the end game. But Alana is explaining to Addison that the curses happened at this point in the timeline, and she was born shortly after the curses were placed. So it's kind of like, in her thinking, nature tends to create the cure to a poison. So she's starting to piece together that she is going to be the cure. Oh, David. Boreanaz. I can't never say his last name. Y'all, I suck at saying people's names. I need to have, like, I need Alexa on standby all the time to pronounce names for me. Y'all, I don't know who I pictured. I sure don't. And even sitting here thinking about it, I don't know who I pictured. I think he was just a blur. I may have to read his book to actually get a good picture of him. The other brother's name is Jethro. I found it. Found it. So I'm trying to see what happened here that I made this note. Oh, this is the scene where, before the feast, where Remiel is saying, and I think this is like his third or fourth try. And this is after the ass whooping. I can't believe the fool is still trying. Where he's saying it is custom that the youngest child of the king can choose whoever he wants as his partner at an equinox feast. Silence is sitting around the table. And the king says he can choose any unmated partner. Ugh. Since the food is almost finished and the festivities are about to begin, then it's time for me to make my choice. And of course, he's looking directly at Alana when all this is happening. And I think even the king steps in then and says, "Mm-mm." Let me find. Oh, this is the best part. This is the best part. This is where Ezekiel punishes Remiel. Ezekiel punishes Remiel. Ezekiel punishes Remiel. Mine either, girl. Mine either. And his punishment is you'll be. And his punishment is You will be taken from here and your body forfeited for the evening to whoever wishes. You will be taken from here and your body forfeited for the evening to whoever wishes to avail of it. You will take no pleasure or feed while enslaved. And their father says you were enslaved. And their father says you were warned. We do not follow the old traditions for a reason. And their father says you were warned. We do not follow the old traditions for a reason. Ugh. He It's killing me, y'all. It's killing me. He had a habit of either biting his bottom lip or, sucking it between his teeth. I guess that's one and the same thing. But every time it talked about him doing that, I would picture Tyler James. But that wouldn't last for the entirety of the book. It would just be like in those moments whenever he would do that. Anyway, squirrel. Oh, here's the fuck a duck line. This made me giggle because I've said it many times myself. Is everyone still there? So, yeah, y'all just hang in there because I keep getting those notifications, but we're gonna push through because I think we're getting close. So the vision, so they're looking at that hologram of Ophelia's castle, and Alana has kind of like this vision that is she sees all 4 dark princes at her castle with their armies, so many dead and bleeding. So was that supposed to be, the final, the big battle, or was it or is this something that maybe we think might be the end all be all further into the series? That was funny. That was funny. That woman was not playing with anybody. And the first inkling that I had when, oh gosh, where is mom's name? Angelica. Agatha and Angelica. So there's a chapter here where Agatha is talking about this the visions, I guess you'd call them, that she and Angelica had about each other's futures. So the vision that Angelica had about Agatha's mate, the first thing that caught my attention about it was where she said, or perhaps he should have asked for directions, but his pride got in the way. Yeah, I'm thinking the four princes directly. I think that may be something coming later on. But but and then when that was said about his pride, I was like, several references have been made to the Elven being very prideful. And the first part of my notes is Agatha's planning to sacrifice herself in Alana's place, and her maid's an elf. Strong Dark Stranger kind of threw me off a little bit. But I'm thinking that may be more because of how I was picturing Regel in my head, which I don't think is actually what he looked like. But yes, once Aunt Agatha gets fully into the story, she is no holds barred, and I loved her. I don't know. Could it be a play on Four Deadly Sins? Well, there's lust. There's pride. So I'm trying to think where Valak and other dude would fall into that. Or could they represent multiple? This is purgatory we're talking about. Ophelia would be gluttony. I feel like that's her sin. And envy. Remio could be envy as well. It's like they all kind of represent, if you stop and think about it. If you stop and think about it, they each have one, maybe two, if we want to look at it down that path. Interesting. Interesting. And I will tell y'all, when Regel, and I will tell y'all, when Regel, and I will tell y'all, when Regel immediately went to Agatha, when Regel immediately went to Agatha when she immediately went to Agatha when she immediately went to Agatha when she when she passed out, I guess is what when she passed out, I guess is what happened. When she passed out, I guess is what happened. I had when she passed out, I guess is what happened. I had tears in my eyes because I was like Ezekiel from Alana's memory banks. So, which if you stop and think about it, I mean, I know she was doing it to be spiteful to Alana, but it doesn't bring Ezekiel over to her side anymore. I guess, she didn't really care how she got him. She just wanted him. And to know that Ezekiel felt it right there in that moment. Oh, the heartbreak. I also thought or felt like it was pretty neat how the pregnancy came into play. Not just the fact that she was pregnant, but how it actually helped her recover her memory. Dang, I didn't realize I put that note so far back here. So, whenever they destroyed Ophelia's base that was sitting like right on the border of the two realms, and Gabriel comes out of the tent, and Ezekiel makes reference to whatever look he had on his face. Whenever Gabriel finally tells Ezekiel what all they found in that tent, she don't really tell us at that moment. But I was like, oh, that's Remiel. He's been helping Ophelia. And then whenever Ophelia makes reference to kicked my lover out of bed early this morning to carry out my latest task. He had a certain boyish charm, although he tended to be a little petulant. What he lacked in ability, he made up for in enthusiasm. There was nothing worse than a man who is selfish in bed, thinking only of himself and his enjoyment. I was like, ugh, that's nasty. You so nasty. And then at the final, I guess, showdown that we're going to have with Ophelia. And then Alana basically kicks Remiel's ass. That was funny. Okay. So that about kind of sort of wraps it up. But yeah, like I said about, the epilogue, I kind of wish there hadn't been quite that much information in it. But I have found a few reasons why I would go on and read. Yeah, I really didn't touch on that, but yeah, that's where it happened. Apparently, they went there a few more times.